Capitalism is in serious danger, and I want to make this video to show the problems that we're going to be facing in the coming decades. Now, this is from someone who is actually pro-capitalism. I think it's part of human nature, the trade, free exchange of ideas, of services of value. That's all natural as part of evolution. However, there is something going on, which I saw on Twitter, called the Mckinsification of corporate America, and this poses a real threat to the economy, and we're seeing the problems occur everywhere. We can see the original tweet from Zero Hedge. Boeing CEO total compensation rose 45% in 2023 to 32 million, which is crazy considering what's been happening with Boeing lately, right? If the company is a disaster, why is the CEO total compensation rising? Well, it's because we're having an incentive problem right now. The incentives are not properly aligned. We can see here in this post, corporate America is being McKinsified, as knowledge and experience are irrelevant. Highly defined processes are the new replacement for that. And these defined processes create an environment where the end goal is low wage, no skill workers in the lowest cost location. Corporate success is measured only by profit per share and DEI metrics. Highly skilled and highly paid DEI brainwashed management is the only ingredient needed for corporate success. More bloat, less soul, more profit per share, less quality for the products or services created. The end result is that the headquarters is in a trendy big city while production is in the industrial slums of the third world, creating a completely detached, soulless corporation that only cares about the dollar and the bottom line. So eventually and inevitably a product crisis will occur, and the highly skilled and highly paid DEI brainwashed management is incapable of comprehending the details of the product crisis because they have no connection to the actual production. It's just a financialized company, and so all they do is manage an army of highly paid PR consultants to manage the corporate crisis, communication, and the corporation downfalls. And we're seeing this across all these major companies in America. Now, this is something that the people who are against capitalism like to talk about a lot, and I think they have a point. CEO pay has gone up 1,400% since 1978. Okay, great. If CEOs do a good job, they should get paid more. Typical workers grew by 18%. That divide is going to cause tension, but it's fine so long as they do a good job. Let's take a look at Mary Barra, the CEO of General Motors. Her compensation was $21 million in 2019 and $29 million in 2022. Well, she's probably doing a good job running the company, right? Since she started, the stock price is flat. And yet you can look at her compensation year over year. It keeps going up and up and up and up and up. Why is that? That's insane. She's just robbing the shareholders of the company of their value. We can take a look at Unity. Unity has been an unprofitable company for years, and yet they pay their chief executives $150 million for 5 people. What? Carol Carpenter, $30 million. Anirma Gupta, $19 million. Mark Whitten, $16 million in 2022. John Riccitiello, obviously his name, $11 million. And Unity, this is a year later in 2023, right, is losing $200 million. And that's a gain year over year in terms, it's a gain in their profit margin. So imagine how much worse it was when these numbers were out in 2022. I mean, this is insane. They're just robbing the company blind. So what do? Okay, we're paying our executives too much and we're not profitable and we need to become profitable. Maybe we should slash executive compensation. No, they just cut 25% of their staff. So of course people are going to become disillusioned with capitalism. Of course they're going to start to hate it. CEO pay can be fair. I'm not, again, I have to reiterate, this is a financial channel. I'm not anti-capitalism. If you look at Tim Cook, he was paid $63 million in 2023. And I mean, Apple is like a multi-trillion-dollar company. And since he took over right around, here, he's grown it to become one of the biggest companies in the world. So Tim Cook might actually be underpaid. So that's not to say that CEOs shouldn't get paid a lot. It's to say that we're seeing a robbery in corporate America right now in companies like General Motors, and companies like Unity, and it's on top of this endless McKinsification, which takes the soul out of these companies. CEO compensation is one issue with capitalism that we're seeing. Unjust CEO compensation. Another issue is that we're seeing an endless amount of intelligent kids go into finance instead of the real economy. So for example, in University of Pennsylvania, the percentage of graduates with full-time jobs choosing Wall Street has stayed at 30% since at least 2015. Beating out consulting, technology, and healthcare. If you look across all of the Ivy League, you'll see this everywhere. All these top schools, all the students want to go to Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, they want to go into investment banking, which is a nonsense career. You're making money out of thin air. It doesn't add anything to the real economy. Our best and brightest minds are going into the endless financial engineering instead of real engineering. And I'm part of that problem. I'm here on a finance YouTube channel. So, hate the game, not the player. But this is another issue. If we just have endless attention go into financial engineering on Wall Street, then we have less people creating real companies and real innovation in the real world. And then the third problem is something a little more cultural, and you might not agree with me on this, but over the past few decades, we have seen the destruction of faith and the destruction of family in American cultural life. There used to be all these pillars that held up our society, and slowly they're all fading away, and the only thing that's left is profit or markets. Balaji Srinivasan, this guy, very smart guy, he made the observation correctly, I think, that the United States is becoming less of a united country and more of an economic union, like the European Union. You could go up to anyone in America today and say, hey, burn the flag and I'll give you $100. And the percent of people that would do that is much higher than the percent of people that would do that 100 years ago. The thing that unites America today is the dollar, not shared values. And when you replace all these other cornerstones of a society with just an endless motivation to seek profit with no soul, it causes all sorts of problems. This is a scene from the movie The Big Short, which, if you don't know, is a movie about the investors who bet against the housing market in 2008 and made a bunch of money. These two goofballs, or these two young guys, are getting super happy because they're sure the housing market is going to crash and they're going to make a ton of money. And then, why isn't it going? And then Brad Pitt, the experienced trader, goes, listen, if you're right, people lose their homes, people lose their jobs. This is nothing to be celebrating over. If you're right that the housing market will crash, this is really dark. And then he says a great line. He says, you know what I hate about effing banking? It reduces people to numbers. And I think that sums up the issue with capitalism today, is that we have just an endless focus on short-term metrics, profit per share, DEI metrics, instead of creating good products, good value, good quality. Humans will always respond to incentives. And so far, capitalism is the best incentive aligner we've found. If you create something that the market wants, you get rewarded with value. But we've had the destruction of other pillars of our society, like family and religion, and all that's left is the drive for profit. That's the only thing that unites us. I don't know if you guys remember this guy here, Andrew Yang. He ran for president in 2020 on the Democratic side, and he was mostly known for universal basic income as his main idea, which is kind of a silly idea. But one thing that I found really interesting from him that no one really talked about is the American scorecard. What he says is that if you're the president or if you're in government, the main metric of success is GDP. But GDP is not a great measure of how well a country is doing. It's just a measure of how much it's producing in the economy. And so he said that what the American government should do is track other indicators, like quality of life, happiness, environmental quality, affordability. Now, whether you agree on the specific ones in here or not, I think there does need to be a new scorecard to measure other metrics than just GDP this quarter or profit this quarter. This endless focus on the short term is going to bankrupt us in the long run. Subscribe if you like the video. I got new ones coming every day about financial markets. I always talk about the latest Fed updates, the latest data coming out. If you don't know me, my name's Elias Marshall. I've been an investor since 2016 or something like that. I'm not an expert. I'm just a beginner, but you can always come here to see the latest news in finance.